Back in the day in this little speck of a town called Willow Creek, tucked away in the Wyoming hills, life could feel like a postcard rolling prairies, picket fences, that old church bell chiming every Sunday like clockwork. But for little Emily Thompson, just 8 years old, it was anything but picture perfect. Her world cracking open that one dusty afternoon on the school playground when those kids decided she was their punching bag. She was this quiet kid, sneakers worn thin from hand-me-downs, backpack frayed at the edges, her dad long gone after a bad accident, leaving her mom Sarah scraping by at the local diner, flipping burgers and pouring coffee just to keep their rented shack from falling apart. Emily never whined about it, thuffed flashed that gap-toothed smile over her peanut butter sandwiches while the other kids munched on store-bought treats. But kids, man, they sniff out difference like sharks to blood. And that day, 3 bigger boys cornered her behind the swings, their sneers twisting like knives as they mocked her stutter. Look at the thrift shop freak, can't even talk right. One spat, shoving her hard enough that she tripped over the gravel, her head smacking the ground. With a thud that echoed in her skull, pain blooming like fireworks behind her eyes, blood trickling warm down her temple as she lay there, dazed, whispering "Mommy" into the dirt while they laughed, kicking her books, stomping her crayon drawings into the dust, one even hissing, "Why don't you just disappear, trailer trash?" It wasn't just random cruelty. You see, those boys came from families tied up in the town's HOA. The kind that lorded over Willow Creek like mini-kings, enforcing rules on paint colors and yard sizes. And Sarah, well, she'd rubbed them the wrong way ever since she moved in. A single mom on the outskirts, refusing to bow to their petty fines over her overgrown lawn or that old motorcycle she tinkered with in the driveway, a holdover from her wilder days before Emily came along. The HOA folks whispered she was trouble, an outsider stirring up the pot, and their kids picked up on that vibe, turning it into playground warfare, a way to assert their parents' grip on the town without getting their hands dirty. Jealousy mixed with that small-town fear of anyone who didn't fit the mold. Emily curled up there, the world spinning, her chest tight with fear and shame, thinking maybe she really didn't belong, her small hands pressing against the wound as tears blurred the bullies' faces, their laughter ringing louder than the distant hum of engines that, little did they know, was about to change everything. But Sarah Thompson wasn't your average mom baking cookies for PTA meetings. No. She had a past that roared louder than any church sermon. Back when she was just a waitress pulling double shifts, she'd pulled a biker from a fiery wreck outside the diner one stormy night, bandaging his wounds with napkins and coffee filters until help came, and that act of grit earned her a spot in the Iron Riders. This tight-knit crew of leather-clad nomads who lived by a code of loyalty fiercer than blood. A found family that understood survival in ways Willow Creek's polished folks never could. She kept it quiet mostly, riding solo on her beat-up Harley. But when that mother's instinct kicked in, maybe it was the way Emily's lunchbox came home scuffed, or just that gut punch of knowing something was wrong, she revved up her bike and called in the cavalry. 50 engines thundering down the highway like a storm front rolling in, vests patched with iron crosses and skulls flapping in the wind. The whole town pausing as the roar shook windows and rattled nerves. People stepped out of shops, jaws dropping, whispers flying, "What in the hell is this?" But Sarah didn't glance their way. Her eyes locked on the schoolyard where her baby girl lay bleeding, leaning hard into the throttle as the bullies froze mid-laugh, their smirks evaporating when the first bikes pulled up, chains clinking, boots hitting pavement in unison, 50 riders dismounting like a wall of thunder, arms crossed, tattoos gleaming under the sun. Sarah ripped off her helmet, hair wild, storming over to Emily, who blinked up through tears, clutching her head. "Mommy, it hurts," and Sarah dropped to her knees, scooping her close. "I've got you, sweet pea. Nobody touches my girl." Her voice a mix of fury and tenderness that could melt steel. Then she stood, turning on those boys who stood there quivering like leaves in a gale, their bravado shattered as the riders lined up shoulder to shoulder behind her, one cracking his knuckles with a grin that said more than words ever could, another spitting to the side with a low chuckle. "Looks like playtime's over, kiddos." Sarah's glare cut deep. "You think picking on a little girl makes you big? Try staring down real strength." And the tallest boy stammered, face paling, We were just joking around." But his voice cracked, knees knocking as one rider revved his engine, the growl splitting the air like a warning shot. They backed up, tripping over each other, fleeing down the alley with tails between their legs, sneakers pounding in panic, and Sarah exhaled slow, lifting Emily gently, the riders closing ranks around them like a living shield, engines idling low as they escorted her to the clinic, boots stomping through the doors, nurses gaping at the sea of leather and ink. But Sarah snapped them back. She needs help, not your stares. Watching as the doc cleaned the cut, Emily whimpering but holding tight to her mom's vest, that rumble outside becoming her new lullaby, safety in the storm. Word spread like wildfire through Willow Creek by morning folks at the diner muttering over coffee. Sarah brought in a biker army. She's gonna turn this place upside down. Parents at school whispering near the flagpole. What kind of mom runs with outlaws? Her kid's gonna be poisoned by that life. Emily heard it all when she went back. Bandage peeking under her hair. Kids staring some in awe. Others sneering, biker brat. Her stomach twisting. Shame flooding in waves. But she held on to that image of her mom charging in. The line of riders unbreakable, steadying her like an anchor. Sarah faced it head-on. At the grocery store when some HOA busybody spat. You're ruining our town with your thug friends. Sarah met her eyes calm as a lake. Grinning? Where were you when my daughter bled out there alone? Funny how your community vanished then, leaving the woman sputtering, lips tight, doubt creeping in for the first time. And it wasn't just talk. The riders came back quiet like that weekend, not roaring in but rolling up sleeves, fixing Sarah's sagging porch, patching the leaky roof, stacking firewood with laughs that echoed warm. One grizzled guy with a salt and pepper beard kneeling to Emily's level, handing her a small keychain with a tiny wrench charm. Life's gonna throw mud at you. Kid a twist through it by holding your ground. His eyes twinkling with that rough kindness, Emily clutching it tight, feeling, for the first time, like she had armor under her skin. But the sheriff, old Hank Riley, wasn't having it. Pulled up Monday with lights flashing, boots crunching gravel, eyeing the bikes parked out front like they were invaders. This stops now. Sarah, you can't turn Willow Creek into some biker haven. Folks are scared spitless. Sarah crossed her arms, unyielding but even-toned. Scared? They should have been terrified when those boys cracked my girl's skull, and no one batted an eye. No sirens from you then, Hank. He flushed red, hand twitching near his badge, the riders silent behind her like shadows, tension thick enough to cut. But Sarah lifted her chin. We're not here to torch your precious town. We're here, cause family shows up, plain and simple. And Hank backed off, cruiser peeling away, leaving Emily peeking from the window, heart swelling at her mom's quiet victory. Back at school, the bullies lingered near the fence, eyes darting nervous but tongues still sharp. Think your mom's gang makes you tough? Hide behind them, freak. But Emily's hands shook less this time, remembering the wrench charm, her voice small but steady. I don't hide. You got more family than you'll ever get. Watching them blink, off balance, as she walked away head high. No tears, just that spark igniting inside. Sunday rolled around, church bells calling everyone to the square. Pastor Elias ran up there thundering from the pulpit. We won't let sin's riders corrupt our godly community. Children deserve better than shadows of vice. Heads nodding, murmurs rising like a tide. Sarah at the back with Emily's hand in hers, the kid clutching tight, cheeks burning as the pastor's eyes locked on them. We can't drag our town down with outlaws. Sarah stepped forward, voice cutting clear. Sin? Where was your righteousness when Emily cried for help and got silence? The riders saved her when your flock looked away, gasps rippling through, Emily's heart pounding but pride blooming as her mom stood tall against the whole damn town. The whispers turned sharper after, parents muttering, that Thompson girl's stirring up trouble. But Emily sat straighter in class. And when recess hit, those boys tried words again, biker trash. Go crawl back to your mom's thugs. She looked them dead on. I don't crawl, I stand. 'Cause I've got real strength now. Leaving them faltering, the power shifting just a notch. That evening on the porch, cocoa steaming in mugs, Sarah sat with her. You stood up today, didn't you, sweet pea? Emily nodded, staring at the hills. My knees wobbled, Mom, but I didn't back down. Sarah brushing her hair gentle. That's bravery, honey, not no fear, but pushing through it anyway. Will they ever stop hating us? Sarah's gaze drifted to the bikes by the barn, chrome catching the sunset. Maybe not, but hate doesn't define us. What's in here does. Tapping Emily's chest, the kid squeezing her stuffed rabbit tight. Feeling that shift, from broken to building. Not just the girl who fell, but the one rising. The summer festival came next, kettle corn popping, fiddles whining. But tension hung heavy, folks staring as Sarah and Emily walked hand in hand, whispers trailing like smoke, till one bully's dad, a big-shot HOA enforcer named Dale, blocked their path, jaw set, voice booming for the crowd. You gonna let your kind poison our festival? Dragging hell into Willow Creek. Sarah's eyes steady. My kind? The ones who fixed Widow Jenkins' fence last week. No charge? Or stood when your boy left mine bleeding? Murmurs stirred, Dale's face twisting red. You're twisting us into chaos. But Sarah lifted her chin, squeezing Emily's hand. No, I'm teaching my girl heaven's real lesson: never kneel to cruelty. The crowd hushing, some scowling but others nodding slow, respect flickering like fireflies. Emily dreamed that night of the playground thud, the jeers, but then engines roared, lights cutting dark, and she stood holding the wrench. Not to fight, but to remind herself of grit. Waking to dawn's gold, sketching at the tableau, a small girl tall amid bikes, chin up, pushing it to Sarah shyly, her mom's throat catching. That's you, honey, strong as steel. Think I'll ride one day, Mom? Sarah kissed her head, tears soft. You're already riding your own path, every step. Tension boiled over the next week at the town hall meeting. Chairs packed with angry faces, Sheriff Riley pounding the podium. We won't let these bikers claim our ground. It's law and order here. A woman pointed at them. Your girl's trouble for all our kids. Emily's tears stung, but Sarah stood, walking the aisle. Trouble? Trouble was my daughter smashed in the dirt while you all sipped tea, not one hand lifted. Silence shattered like glass, guilt etching faces, Riley bristling. This ain't about that, it's keeping peace. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Peace didn't show when she bled. But loyalty did, gesturing outside where engines growled, floor vibrating, folks paling. Then Emily slid down, stepping forward, small-voiced but clear. They called me trash, said die, but Mom and the riders didn't let me. Their family, gasps echoing, no laughs, just wide eyes as the meeting crumbled, some leaving mad but others lingering, a farmer muttering to Sarah, your kids got more guts than half this town. A widow whispering, they mended my steps, bless 'em. Summer deepened, Willow Creek shifting slow, some still crossed streets at Sarah's approach, but others nodded hello. Kids at school sitting by Emily curious, her sketches of sunsets and bikes drawing them in. No more taunts, just questions. The riders kept coming, sharing campfire stories of open roads. Emily wide-eyed, heart-catching dreams beyond the prairies. One starry night on the porch, she whispered, Mom, could I ride with them someday? Sarah's eyes soft. One day, but you're already on the throttle. Every time you speak up, you're miles ahead. The day they rode out, 50 engines thundering away, Emily waved from the roadside, clutching a tossed bandana patched with iron, eyes shining, not the knockdown kid anymore, but the one who'd risen on love's roar, whispering to herself as the last bike faded, I'm not small. Never was. Sarah knelt, pulling her close under that vast Wyoming sky, two against the world but unbreakable, scars forging strength, the echo of engines promising they'd never face it alone. Man, thinking back on it all, was Sarah right to call in the riders, turning a kid's scrap into a town showdown? Or did she stir up more trouble than it was worth, blurring lines between protection and intimidation? Drop a comment below where you're watching from. And what's your take on justice in small towns like that, when communities just code for control? Like if this hit home, subscribe for more real-life twists on loyalty and grit, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one.